Hello, welcome to this video. We are once again going to be talking about New Jersey Transit and the fare hike that is coming on New Jersey Transit and my feelings about it. And, look, I'm going to give Governor Murphy credit here on answering questions, and we're going to actually play this video here from News 12, New Jersey, that he actually, Governor Hochul would never, ever do this, all right? So, maybe I've gained back a little bit of respect for Phil Murphy. I still think he's a much better governor than Kathy Hochul. I mean, he supports the police. He supports the fire departments. You see what he puts on his, thing. So I still think he's a better governor than Kathy Hochul, all right? And, I understand there's inflation going on. Costs go up. But I think this fare hike's a little steep, all right, for people. So this is the notice from New Jersey Transit on the fare hike. And they've had to do a lot of expansion of service. They had to take over, obviously, a lot of these private carrier routes. They've had to, increase wages and increase healthcare costs because of, again, inflation. So there's been a combination of $44 million in cost reductions, along with an additional $52 million in revenue enhancements. New Jersey Transit is reducing the originally proposed deficit and offsetting some mandatory non-discriminatory cost escalations. All right. In order to close the remaining $106.6 million budget gap, NJ Transit is proposing a system-wide fare adjustment of 15% starting on July 1st, 2024. This proposed fare adjustment, along with NJ Transit's internal efficiency savings and revenue enhancement, would allow a fully funded FY25 operating budget that avoids reducing service levels. And we don't want to see any service cuts, all right? And this also includes annual system-wide increases of 3% going into effect each July 1st of the subsequent free. No fare increase would be more than 3% annually, which sort of sounds like what the MTA is doing. But I think that they need to tweak this a little bit because 15% is a little steep. I think maybe we should make it 5% every other year like the MTA is doing. So let's take a look at the proposed examples of some of these new fares here that they have on the screen here. That the one-way would only go up 20% in one zone, interstate to New York. All right, they list Tom's River, so it goes from $21.25 to $24.50. All right, this is the one-way. Again, that's quite a bit of a jump. Again, 15% is a lot for those people, and 16% to $18.40. All right, and then they have some other proposed fare tables here that we would have. All right, so these would be the bus. They basically list all of them here. Northern. I don't know if Tom's River is considered northern or southern. I don't know. Let's take a look at the northern here. All right, zone 110. All right, so 1 to zone. What is Tom's River? Zone 10, right? I think. I'm not sure, but it would go up. Let's see. They actually list the reduced fare. It would go up to 3. No, it's not. It's not 10. I think it's 20. I don't remember what zone Tom's River is. It's been so long since I've been there. Gosh, just ashamed of myself. I think it's 18. Let's see what it is. I don't know. I don't know what zone it is, but this is the northern route. Maybe it's the southern one. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong chart. That's why I'm confused. Maybe it's southern. Go to Southern Interstate here. So here's the southern one. I think it's zone 13. Yeah, so it's going to jump a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be that bad of a jump, all right? It's just, I understand costs go up, all right? I was a little upset in the other video. Look, they kept the fares the same for a long time, obviously. I just think 15% is steep. So let's listen to Governor Phil Murphy on this. And, I mean, he really did a good job answering this, and I'm going to give him credit for that. I still think he's a much better governor than Governor Hochul, and I still think he just comes across completely differently. And I think he understands that this is going to hurt people.
Ask Governor Murphy. This is a special edition of New Jersey Power and Politics. I'm Walt Kane in for Eric Landstrom. This is your chance to talk to the governor one-on-one. Here is how. Post a question on the News 12 New Jersey Facebook page.
This News 12 Long Island would never do this with any of our officials, which again shows you how different New Jersey is.
Also tweet us. Just use the hashtag AskGovMurphy, or you can call us at 888-News-12-NJ. That is 639-7126. Governor, thank you so much for being with us.
Nice to be with you, Walt. You and I have not done this before, so it's a treat.
Yep, looking forward to it.
Tell Eric we miss him, but
yes.
It's good to have you.
Hope you still feel that way in an hour. One of the big political stories this week, NJ Transit, coming up with a plan to fix a huge budget deficit. It wants us to pay more, quite a bit more. The agency wants to raise fares by 15% on July 1st and then have them continue to go up each year by 3% to address future needs. The size of the increase drawing some pretty harsh criticism from commuters and some mass transit advocates. Governor, no other option? This is what has to be done?
Yeah, listen, a couple of things, Walt. We don't take a decision like this lightly, for sure. And remember that we have not raised fares a penny in 6 years.
True.
And that includes through a pandemic. And by the way, we have dramatically increased service as opposed to a lot of other mass transit systems that have decreased services. This was also the train wreck within the train wreck when we got into office. NJ Transit had been neglected.
Yeah, because Chris Christie was a horrible governor.
Year after year, and today it's a different story. On-time performance, safety, the engineers who were barely there, new equipment, investment in stations. We couldn't ask for a fare increase early on because, frankly, we didn't deserve it. At this point, we think this is a fair increase. A fare is an FAIR.
I disagree with him on it because I think that 15%, the initial 15%, is a little steep. That's my own opinion. I think it should be spread out a little more.
But having said that, we don't take it lightly. There are public hearings, and I encourage folks to go out and make their opinions known. And I would say unequivocally.
And yes, I will definitely leave a comment, and I'll message the governor on what I think as well.
We're not going to balance the books at NJ Transit on the back of commuters. The last administration raised fares 38%. We're talking about a fraction of that with a far better, healthier system today. Again, we don't take it lightly. I want folks to go to those hearings and let's hear what you think about it. But we intend to continue. NJ Transit was rated within the past year as the #1 mass transit system in America. That's something we're proud of.
Wow, I did not know that.
We're only going to make it better and stronger.
Taking a look at the fare chart, here are some examples.
At the very least, I could live with it if they increased the service on the 319 because I really need more service on that. There's a lot of overcrowding.
What the proposed new fares will be. There's quite a bit on your screen. If you focus on the one on the bottom, you'll see Princeton Junction to Penn Station, New York by rail was $16 one way. It will now be $18.40 one way. Figure that out over the course of a week. It's about $184, up from $160. So we're talking about some pretty serious money.
Yeah,
and of course,
is not insignificant.
We're doing away with or you propose to do away with the Flex plan, where you could get a discount without buying a full monthly pass.
Yeah, but that's a good example, Walt, where we want folks to come out to these hearings and let's hear what you think the pluses and minuses are. We start from a position where nobody's looking to pay more to do anything. Who could blame them? So that I get that. But having said that, I'm not going to leave NJ Transit or the state in the irresponsible state that it was in when we got here. So we want to make sure this thing is on a firm foundation. And again, we're not going to balance the books of NJ Transit on the back of commuters. You have my word for that. There's a lot of other steps that we can and we will take. But let's hear what you think, folks. There's a deliberate process here. I think it's
So he's open to suggestions. That's something you wouldn't get from Hochul.
a fair one, and we want to hear what's on people's minds.
Of course, this year's $100 million budget deficit that had to be closed is a drop in the bucket compared to what is anticipated next year, when the budget deficit is expected to hit close to $1 billion, in large part because a corporate tax is going to be rolled back that would have generated $1 billion.
Yeah, well, it's not related, but there are folks out there who say you could take that corporate tax had you not rolled it back and help fill up that hole.
Is that something you'd consider?
Listen, I think right now, let's focus on getting, I think between what NJ Transit's going to do with their own operating expenses, we'll see where this fare increase lands. We're going to have this fiscal year.
Now, as far as the corporate taxes go, somebody informed me that New Jersey is the highest corporate taxes in the whole country. All right. And look, I think that I'd rather see the corporate taxes go up, but if it means having companies leave New Jersey, that's not a good thing. All right. So.
In I think, very, very good shape. That almost billion-dollar number, actually, by actions we take this year, gets down already below $800 million. Lots of options on the table. No news to make tonight, but we're going to do this responsibly, and we're not going to do it on the backs of the commuters.
There's been some talk about potential sales tax increases. Is everything on the table here, or would you take
No, sales tax increase would be a bad idea.
that off the table?
I just
Aggressive.
don't, first of all, the way that tax was reduced before we got here was not what I would have done, and I think it was a mistake. But I'm loath to, it's a regressive tax. It hits folks who make less money harder. That's not something that I have a lot of appetite for.
Okay, some of our viewers are also weighing in on the New Jersey transit issue. Samantha posting on X asking what is being done to support infrastructure in transit. She says New Jersey Transit is the most unreliable service due to infrastructure issues.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's the most unreliable service, with all due respect. Is it Samantha?
Yes.
Did you say? Natalie Hamilton is with me. Natalie, make sure Kevin Corbett and one of his folks get to her. The biggest
Wow. You'd never hear that from Hochul.
challenge we have right now is that my predecessor canceled the 2 new rail tunnels under the Hudson River. And so we're finally, I'm happy to say, working with the Biden administration, State of New York, Port Authority, others, we're finally building the extra 2 tunnels under the Hudson, and then we'll rehab the old ones, which were built, I think, and came into service in 1911. That is far and away the big choke point.
That's very
and it's
been a big
shameful
problem.
that this was not dealt with decades ago, but we're
You can thank Chris Christie for that mess.
finally dealing with it. That's the reason I say that for Samantha, is we're beholden to Amtrak issues. We're beholden to a particular signal issue just because we have very limited options. It's the reason why we don't have 1-seat rides on the Raritan Valley line, by example. That will ultimately become a reality when we get these tunnels built. So that is the big infrastructure issues. The operations of NJ Transit are not perfect, but they're dramatically better and stronger than they were when we got here.
You
That's
mentioned
true.
the Raritan Valley
I mean, I
line.
can agree with that. I mean, service on the 319 is a lot better, but it's still not enough. I mean, the ridership keeps coming because of, I think a lot of it's due to Greyhound. A lot of the people at Greyhound cancels trips, so it goes on to the 319. But certainly, yeah, the service has improved. I mean, the newer buses they got are better than those other buses that they had on the 319. You know, the old 7100s with the Caterpillar engines that always broke down. You know.
Line, which leads us right into a question we have on X from Robert. He says the Raritan Valley line wants to know, when will it become a direct train to Penn Station in New York? He says there were plans in place before the Trump administration, and then it kind of got squashed. I'm not sure if that was the Trump administration or in administrations here, but
it's easy to blame
things
President Trump
get
for a
sort
lot
of
of things.
conflated.
I don't think in this case that it was his. It was my predecessor, Governor Christie. Canceled what was called the ARC project.
Yep, that's
and
right.
those extra tunnels. Is it Robert
Thank
who asked
Christie
that?
for that.
that was Robert on
And
Twitter.
Natalie will get Kevin to follow up with him as well. But it's
Wow, I mean, the Hochul would never get Jano Lieber to follow up directly with people. It's like completely different.
the Hudson River Tunnel project is what we're talking about now, or otherwise known as Gateway. That gets built, then you've got a 1-seat ride out of communities like Westfield and others on that line.
All right, Governor, thank you so much. Stay with us here on Ask Governor.
So, Governor Murphy, you've definitely regained my respect and trust. You know what I mean? Now that I know a little bit more of how you feel about this whole situation, you know, and the way he just deals with people is just totally different than New York. Because in New Jersey, again, everybody matters. We all know that. And, you know, it's all part of, well, the bigger plan, as you know. At least I don't want to have to go live in New Jersey, but man, you know, that's a whole nother issue that I'll talk about in my mental health update, dealing with where I live and all the issues here. But, you know, thank you at least for listening. He's listening to the people, and maybe he will amend this fare hike. I understand there has to be a fare hike, and I was expecting there to be a fare hike. Because of inflation, fares must go up. That's just the way it goes. But I just think it's a little steep, the 15%. You know, and maybe spread it out a little more. But I guess it is still better than it's still less than what the MTA has done. So the MTA has definitely raised fares much more, I guess. But anyway, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching, and I hope that Phil Murphy listens to the people. It does seem like he cares. You don't have that in New York, that's for sure.